Mr. Arthur, we're
What's
back.
up? We're back.
We're back for another episode, and I have a guest with me.
Who is that?
I don't know who I am anymore.
That's fair.
Oh,
Life of an educator.
Life of an educator that just finished 75% of their school year, Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
So, Mr. Arthur, I was thinking if we could start with a little bit about last week's show, just so we could kind of talk about, kind of just remember where we were,
Okay.
how far we've been. I think you have it pulled up too, because I can see through your soul, Mr. Arthur, deep into that spreadsheet that you have pulled up.
Well, you're seeing something else because I don't have. I lost it. I don't know where it went. Anyway, it's fine.
There you go. Now you're looking at me again. I can
Yeah.
see a lot, Mr. Arthur. Those glasses are really helping me out. All right, so Mr. Arthur, let me see. We have. I read this as pretty much as soon as it was posted. Someone said that you blamed us for junior leaders. I don't understand that.
Peyton Little. Um. Yeah, because we didn't know about junior leaders, and we said it was their, or I said it was their fault. And I'm not. I mean, he must have felt like it. He had a guilty conscience because I never called anybody out. Thanks for proving that.
Well, yeah. All right, so there we go. We know exactly whose fault it was because they said that they were mad that we blamed them. So, okay, I'm down with that. Who said you know what if? Was that me or you?
That had to be you.
You don't say what if, Mr. Arthur? You don't? You're cutting out. Or maybe you just don't care to.
No, I don't say whatever.
You just said it. All right, Mr. Arthur. Let me see. If you're going to use a new knife, concentrate.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking at.
That was Mr. Arthur's.
My advice last week.
We ended with advice last week, Bethany, and that was Mr. Arthur's advice for everybody. If you're going to use a new knife, concentrate.
So I didn't read it correctly the first time. I thought it said if you're going to use a new knife, concrete.
That too. Be sure you're standing on concrete.
Concrete, which you were.
I was. That didn't help me out.
Perfect. Hopefully, you explained to everybody throughout the week what happened to your finger because several people asked. I thought they might have thought you were just doing it for the ratings, Mr. Arthur. And wow, the ratings really poured in over the week as we had multiples of 7. So let me see. We have. I'm gonna do one more, Mr. Arthur. Let me
Okay.
make it. Let me make it really good. Well, one of them was Anxious Vibe, which really talked about this week. Really, it kind of ominous precursor to this week. But I really just, if I was going to say one thing, because I kind of outed myself as a drama king, and I want you to take some credit. You're also kind of a drama.
Never said I wasn't, but I just didn't admit it on camera.
Right. Okay. So as long as we can get that out in the open, that you're also a drama king. Okay.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Sure.
All right. So
I have to be because it's on camera.
right there you go. You know, when we raise our voices like that, that's another thing of this week, Mr. Arthur. We've been doing
Me?
exactly. So, Mr. Arthur, what we got for this week?
Well, Mr. Riley, I've been sitting here thinking since you asked me what happened this week, and I don't quite remember everything about this week. I do remember that I was late this morning for school, or later than I needed to be. I remember that we worked a lot on proficiencies, and I also remember that we started shop projects in Ag 2, which I think are going pretty well, considering it was kind of a last-minute project idea for me. So.
Yeah, it was a last minute idea and it's practical. That was one thing that we wanted.
Yeah.
We also have an exorbitant amount of 2x4s. So
Yes.
we're able to use that, which is always helpful. And I think if they're going to mess up on something, I'd rather them mess up on a shop table rather than a birdhouse that they're going to give their mom or whatever.
Yeah, and I think this was a good opportunity. We're building, for those of you that are not in Act 2, building horticulture lab tables. And I thought it would just be a good idea, kind of a warm up, because they've done carpentry before, just kind of go over some of the tools and safety again with a group project before we moved into their individual projects.
And as we started those projects and worked on applications with Ag 2, 3, 4, we also in Ag 1, Mr. Arthur, the first part of the week reviewed what we had done the previous 4 weeks.
Yeah.
We had done a little career prep, and now, well, I just wanted to mention what was happening after school, Mr. Arthur, because our calendar was jam-packed. So Monday after school, we did state officer prep.
Sorry, my mic was muted. I had to sneeze. My apologies.
Mr. Arthur, you know I can edit, right? Like I'm not the best at it, but I can. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's whatever, Mr. Arthur. Me and Bethany were just going to talk about the week and what she didn't experience because she wasn't here.
I'm back.
But you're back?
I'm back.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Is the tomatillo sauce still wreaking havoc?
It's hitting hard.
Okay. Well, all right. So, Mr. Arthur, Monday, as everybody that is listening knows, and you may not know because you were in the midst of sneezing, Monday we had state officer practice with our 2 state officer candidates.
Yep. Good
time, get our feet wet kind of thing. And then me and you went and DJ'd and PA'd at the softball game.
Yeah.
How do you feel to be a PA as you are a PA?
It's kind of fitting.
It's kind of fitting, yeah. So then Tuesday, Mr. Arthur, pretty much the whole week for Ag 1, 2, 3, 4 was pretty much the same, especially starting on Wednesday for Ag 1. But then Tuesday after school, well, it was the day of the strawberries, Mr. Arthur.
Yeah, I just remembered that when you said Tuesday. I totally forgot.
Yep. So we had strawberries. Mr. Arthur, do you want to recount what time the strawberries were here?
Well, Mr. Riley, I was at my house getting dressed at about 6:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and I get a call from the Southern Heritage guy. And he's like, "Hey, we're at the school. But your coworker's here. It's not a big deal." And then I pulled up to you loading strawberries in a U-Haul that were not our strawberries, and so I assisted in the loading of strawberries. And then about 7:30, we started unloading our strawberries.
Yeah,
we had some student help. And we had about 220 flats of berries.
Yeah.
We unloaded and we got them all passed out by second block the next day, which is pretty impressive.
I thought it was very smooth. Yeah, before we got to touch our strawberries, we unloaded 400 flats of other people's strawberries. Some of those being our close companions up the road, some of them being in Sicily Island, Mr. Arthur, which...
Where?
You have to cross like 7 rivers to get there, minimum. But Mr. Arthur, that took us to forestry practice after school. Me and you have had virtual phone call meetings all week, and so we had some meetings throughout the days. But we had forestry practice that day. Another softball game.
Yeah.
The softball game Monday night was an awesome match. And then the game on Tuesday night was not as awesome. But both of them were W's for the ladies. And that takes us to Wednesday, Mr. Arthur. Do you want to talk anything about Wednesday? Because I feel like I'm kind of boring right now.
Mr. Riley.
Yeah.
What happened Wednesday?
Mr. Arthur, I have on my calendar LDE practice. Oh, I'm sorry, proficiency app work day.
Oh, yeah.
It was a storm.
We had weather.
There you go. Weather.
Mr. Riley, Wednesday was kind of weird because we were in class and we kept getting alerts on our phones that other districts were letting out due to the weather, and we didn't. So we went ahead and canceled our after school practices, and I think buses ran a few minutes early on Wednesday.
Right.
So, but the weather really wasn't that bad here. So, when I mean really wasn't that bad, it was about 20 minutes of hard rain. So, we didn't cancel for nothing. We canceled for safety, but
Cancel for safety.
we could have had practice.
We could have had practice with Mr. Arthur. I think that was a good day because me and you had to go shopping. And so we were able to go and requisition some things that we needed around the ag department. So we were able to make the most of it as we typically do. We typically go from one project to the other, and eventually some of them get done.
Yeah.
So it happens. So that took us to today, and today was another jam-packed day where we had 2 sets of practices after school.
Yeah.
And I think, Mr. Arthur, speeches are really shaping up. I'm really excited about speech season.
Yeah. And normally we know this, but the kids don't know that normally speeches are earlier in the year. And so having to adjust to having them later has been something for us. Now, when you started teaching, I think they were actually later in the year also, right? You did them kind of in December and then again in May or June, but typically they're all in December. And so we're having to kind of redo our calendar, but I think they're shaping up really well. We've got some excellent speakers that have written some excellent speeches.
Mr. Arthur, when I started, they were the second and third week of January.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had bad weather one year. It pushed them to April. Yeah. And then when Dr. Smith took the helm, he pushed them to December.
Yeah.
And then this year we're in April again. And so really out of everything we do, it moves around a lot. But I'm so excited. It's going to be a really fun year. Before we talk about tomorrow, because I was just going to talk, briefly about what's happening tomorrow or today, because this will be posted at midnight. Bethany, tell us about your week. Anything cool happening?
It's always cool to teach third, fourth, and fifth grade.
What was third, fourth, and fifth grade learning about this week?
We learned about animals and mating and traits and behaviors.
Okay. Wow.
Stuff they could take to ag, huh?
Yeah.
For sure.
That turns into selective breeding and improved breeding practices and genetics, and wow, that's cool. Third, fourth, and fifth grade. Mr. Arthur, what did you learn in third, fourth, fifth grade science? Because I know you remember.
Well, I remember in third grade, I had Miss Kathy Chance, who was one of my favorite teachers, and she did a whole unit on rocks. I don't even remember what kind of science that was. And then when I got to fourth grade, we did some ecosystem stuff. We did an ecosystem in a Coke bottle. That was kind of cool. And then fifth grade, it was funny because I went to a really small school, so we didn't trade teachers fifth grade. We were in the same class all day with one teacher. It was like I was on Little House of the Prairie or something. And she loved science. And so we did all kind of experiments all the time in fifth grade.
You want to know what I did at Goldana Elementary?
Yeah.
We had a book about this thick for the whole year. And they were like, we only do this on Fridays. That's all we did.
I don't remember learning about, animals and stuff or mating and stuff like that in third, fourth, or fifth grade, but it's definitely beneficial.
The only thing I remember is she taught us some beautiful things. She was a great teacher. I don't remember. It was a rotation. We changed classes, and science was one of our rotations. And I remember that we could do experiments for bonus points. And she had a list of experiments that we could bring, and we had to bring all the materials, and we could do it. And we would demonstrate for the class. And I remember that I demonstrated centrifugal force with a bucket.
Yeah.
And I remember that displacement of air in water by having a bucket of water and a paper towel in a cup and pushing straight down, straight up, and the paper towel's dry.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And that's what I remember. That's all I remember.
Miss Bethany, you teach social studies also, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so that was my favorite thing in school. We did a lot of Louisiana history stuff in 4th grade. So
Yeah.
and
I like it, but the kids don't really like it. So
I had a really good 4th grade teacher, and so we would do like things about plantations, and we did some stuff with um, Mardi Gras, and we get to have like a little parade and stuff. And so I just remember that, but it was good times.
So, Mr. Arthur, do you have anything you want to say specifically about Friday?
Well, yeah, other than the stuff you're going to talk about, just check your emails Friday, um, like you always do. I'm going to be sending out an email to my students, and I'm sure you will too, Mr. Riley, with the contest results in it. So you'll be getting a late email from us, probably around 2 o'clock, 2:30.
Right.
So you know the contest results.
Mr. Arthur, I think it's hilarious that you told my students that they'd be getting an email because I'm going to send them this in an email that they won't check. So if I send this to them in an email that they don't check, I don't know how they'll know about the second email. But I hope your half of the ag department does well with that, Mr. Arthur. Mine are a little Gmail challenged. So
Last week, I think I got 17 responses.
you got 17?
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Arthur, at Tech, when I used to enjoy going to basketball games at Tech, and I know, you really relate to that. And we would have this thing where, you're playing, Eastern Kentucky Middle Community College or something, and 8 minutes in, you're up 40-20 or something, and we would chant double your score. Well, Mr. Arthur, you doubled my score. Mr. Arthur, that is all I have for the week. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
I'm really excited about Friday. I'm excited about our work days Saturday and Monday, where me and you will be going through a lot of caffeine. I mean, a lot of applications, and we're going to be making sure all of our kids are well recognized at the state level.
Yep.
And have them ready for those national awards. So, Mr. Arthur, if you don't have anything, I want to go into the quiz.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, Mr. Arthur, Bleachers, have you ever?
Is that a band or a movie?
All right, I'm going to take that as a no. So, Mr. Arthur, you see, Bleachers is an American indie pop act.
Here we go again. Jesus.
You don't like my pop music, Mr.
I
Arthur.
don't like anything that's indie because it reminds me of India, not independent. Go for it. Whatever.
Okay, Mr. Arthur, we'll start from the top. This is an American independent pop act. How about that?
Yeet.
I don't have time to teach you how to eat properly, Mr. Arthur.
improper use of slang.
Improper use of slang. Yes, thank you, Bethany.
My apologies.
Bethany, every week is just trying to get Mr. Arthur more pop culturally introduced, really. You would think that this man has never been on TikTok, but this man is always on TikTok.
I love TikTok.
Then how do you not know pop culture? I don't understand.
His version of TikTok is not pop culture.
Fair. Yeah, Arthur, TikTok is not.
I'm a little slow sometimes because obviously there's the For You tab at the top of TikTok,
Yeah.
People kept saying your FYP. I didn't know what that was. It took me like 2 months. So anyway.
It's almost like when you showed us that text earlier with the lady's signature. So anyway.
Take a minute. Go for it.
Anyway, so this independent act, Mr. Arthur, it's the official stage name. Bleachers is the official stage name of. He's a songwriter. He's a record producer. His name's Jack Antonoff. He's a part of different bands, and he really tries to go for late 80s, 90s, and like the whole high school based music of like John Hughes movies, and which I think would really speak to you. I think you would like this music if I'm judging by things that I've introduced you to before. I don't think you would hate this music because it really has an 80s vibe about it.
Mhm.
Their first single was I Want to Get Better. It's probably their best single. But anyway, 2014 was when it came out. But I need to know, Mr. Arthur,
Okay.
in which East Coast city did they originate? Would you like a hint or would you like a cold guess, Mr. Arthur?
Boston.
That's not bad, Mr. Arthur. That is incorrect, but that is not bad. So I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay.
The hint is this city has a bank that has the largest gold storage in the world. The vault is 80 feet below street level and contains $90 billion in gold. I have a second hint if you need it.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Something that big has got to be in the biggest city on the East Coast, which is New York.
Are you sure, Mr. Arthur?
I don't know. It sounded good.
It sounded good because it was right, Mr. Arthur. Look at but I didn't look up two hints for nothing. I'm going to read you the other one.
Sure.
Since the 1960s, the price of a slice of pizza in this town has been roughly the same price as a subway ride. And that created the idea of the pizza principle among economists. I just want to.
Bethany, would that have helped you answer that question?
Maybe because it says Subway.
Thank you.
But
and pizza.
Other than that, probably.
Whatever.
I'm glad he's on here so we can gang up on you. Go for it.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Arthur. So, I wanted to just kind of stop with the music. It had me in a New York state of mind, Mr. Arthur.
It's one of my favorite Barbra Streisand songs.
Mr. Arthur, I'm going to introduce you to my best friend Jay-Z. Okay.
Oh, Jay-Z.
Empire State of Mind. It's fine. Anyway, I want you to name, Mr. Arthur. This is, some would say an agriculturally based show, and I want you to name 5 of New York's top 10 commodities. And let me pull up the list.
Let's see what we got.
Let me get my list back.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, you good? You good, Mr. Arthur?
I'm gonna have to phone a friend, but we'll see what we can do.
You got a bunch of friends, Mr. Arthur. You probably know 8 senators from New York because you be like that.
Top 5 commodities from the state of New York.
It looks like you're screen cheating.
I'm not. My phone's on.
Hey, you found it.
Is forestry one of them?
No, sir.
I thought maybe upstate.
I'll let you know that I had no idea. Number 1 is number 1 by almost 10-fold of number 2. Like it is almost 10 times larger than its number 2 commodity.
Is one of them like fisheries or seafood?
No, sir.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Arthur, name 1 out of the top 10. 1.
I just didn't figure like they were really heavy in agronomic crops or anything.
Number 3 is an agronomic crop. Number 8 is.
What about like apples?
Apples is on there, Mr. Arthur.
Yeah.
It's a big apple right there. That is number 4, coming in at $275 million a year industry. That's at 275, and it's in number 4. Its number 1 commodity. It's a $2.56 billion industry.
Man.
Would you like to know what it is, Mr. Arthur?
Yeah.
It's my favorite one on the list, dairy products.
Okay.
It's $2.56 billion in dairy. And then we go to cattle, corn, apples, chicken eggs. I don't even know why.
You think about dairy, and Wisconsin just overshadows everybody anyway.
Yeah.
So it's hard to think of another state that does that. But that's pretty cool.
If they would combine poultry like as one group, because they have chicken eggs at almost 200 million, then they have turkeys at 70 million.
Yeah.
So they'd combine that, turkeys would be like in the top, or poultry would be in the top 5.
I think it would be kind of hard to produce or mass produce poultry in a state that cold.
You would think, Mr. Arthur, but it makes sense because turkeys are dead by Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
Dang.
Why are you so cruel?
They didn't deserve it.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Arthur. Anyway, snap beans are the number 10 commodity. Snap beans.
Is that the same thing as a green bean?
I think those are.
Because my grandma always called them snap beans.
By the description, I think it's different.
I think it's different too. The name snap bean comes from the sound they make when broken into pieces before cooking.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, Mr. Arthur, they also are big in floriculture, apparently. The growing colors. So, Mr. Arthur, do you have anything else?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Bethany, do you have anything else?
I do not.
All right, hearing none. Mr. Arthur, I'm ready to end this. Did you want to give advice to anybody? You've been doing this. You've wanted to do this. What would your advice be, Mr. Arthur?
My advice.
My advice is FYP means For You page.
That's an insult.
What?
My advice is don't be stupid.
There you go. That's solid.
Solid advice. I have two. First one is if you cut your finger off, don't use Germex because it burns. And the second one is find better friends than my orange.
I think that was worse than the turkey joke. I'm just saying, whatever that was.
What did you do to that orange?
All right, moving on, guys. We hope you had a great time. We have 25% of the year left. I'm out.